Local programming on KRWG made possible in part by viewers like you. Thank you. This is KRWG, TV, radio, online, news that matters. Next on Newsmakers, hundreds turn out for a Las Cruces town hall with Congressman Steve Pearce, and they're worried about the possible repeal of the Affordable Care Act. Plus, we'll meet actor John Heder of Napoleon Dynamite fame, a guest at the Las Cruces International Film Festival. And later, Living Here takes us to the Zool Museum at New Mexico State University. Thanks for joining us on Newsmakers. I'm Fred Martino. Across the country, Americans are turning out in droves at town hall meetings with their congressional representatives, and many of them are furious over plans to cut benefits in the Affordable Care Act. Simon Thompson was at a Las Cruces town hall on Saturday.
Almost 600 people from all over New Mexico's 2nd Congressional District turned out for Congressman Steve Pearce's town hall at the Farm and Ranch Museum in Las Cruces. Most of them loud and angry about Republicans' plan to repeal the Affordable Care Act. According to the Urban Institute, 266,000 New Mexicans stand to lose their health care coverage. When Congressman Steve Pearce suggested that some people may just have to live until they can access health care through Medicare, a program accessible to people 65 years and older or with severe disabilities, this was the response. Las Cruces senior citizen Bridget Henney is on Medicare already. She says it covers about half the cost of the medication she takes for arthritis and a thyroid problem. Henney says she's scared she won't be able to afford her medication if the Affordable Care Act is repealed.
We can't afford it. And when you're our age, then it goes up and up and up, but you can't go up and up. You can't make any money anymore. And your Social Security is not getting increased all the time at the same rate. So you're going to be in trouble.
Henney is better off than a lot of seniors. According to the American Association of Retired Persons, seniors not yet eligible for Medicare could see their annual premiums increase by 22%. Why? Because the Republican plan would allow insurance companies to charge seniors 5 times more than young and healthy adults. At the moment, the Affordable Care Act currently caps insurers at charging any more than 3 times as much. Congressman Steve Pearce says that rising healthcare costs for seniors has been an ongoing problem under the Affordable Care Act, and one the Republican Party healthcare plan needs to better address.
It's the same problem we're having right now. Seniors, all levels, are finding their health care escalating dramatically right now. Our plan, the Republican plan, does not seem to address that deeply enough. It's one of the reasons that we're still having conversations. I don't think that we've seen the final plan, regardless of what Paul Ryan says. I think that we will see some changes.
About 1/4 of the town hall's attendees were there to support Congressman Steve Pearce, like Las Cruces Mike Tellez. He wants to see the Affordable Care Act repealed and or repaired. He says it doesn't provide him sufficient or affordable coverage.
Something needs to change. Something needs to change in this health care because it's not working now. My deductible is way too high. I pray to God that they balance out and come down a little bit. You know, I believe that right now this healthcare system, it's imploding now.
The town hall went on far longer than the scheduled 2 hours as Pearce heard constituents' concerns about border security, immigration reform, public lands, the potential downsizing of the Organ Mountains National Monument, cuts to Planned Parenthood, and one attendee's claim that most of the people at the town hall were paid protesters. Mike Tellez says if Democrats were as good as getting the vote out as they are at expressing their frustrations at town halls, there would probably be a lot less political division.
What I'd like to see is I'd like to see people quit the hate, get out and get their person they want elected in rather than fight so much over who's already in. They're already in. Give them a chance. If they don't like what they do, hey, vote them out.
In the 2016 presidential election, New Mexico and Dona County voted overwhelmingly for Democratic candidate Hillary Clinton. For KRWG, I'm Simon Thompson.
And Simon Thompson joins us now in studio. Simon, this was quite a forum, well over 2 hours. And just as we've seen really all around the country, a lot of people were pretty upset.
Yeah, I mean, it was packed. It was Pearce's biggest town hall since President Trump had been elected. Hundreds of people there, standing room only, very emotionally charged group of people. You know, Pearce struggled to get through answering any questions without someone yelling something out. There was also a lot of Pearce supporters there as well who were yelling out as well. It was a lot of tension.
And very interesting in that piece where there was an accusation that some of the people who were upset were paid, and they loudly protested against that idea, saying, where's my check? You know,
Yes.
Obviously they weren't paid. Where's my money if you're saying I'm paid?
I mean, in a sense, yeah, there were a lot of people, she was right in the sense there was a lot of people who seemed there to protest less than to have dialogue with Pearce, other than to really extremely loudly voice their frustrations as a protester would, who maybe is getting paid.
Yeah, absolutely. So healthcare was the major focus of your report, which did an excellent overview of the healthcare issue and the challenge involved. But people were upset about a lot of other things too, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, healthcare this issue is so multifaceted. Even in there were a lot of different angles to cover and a lot of different problems, but so many other issues. A lot of concerns about public lands being privatized, a lot of concerns about the Organ Mountains National Desert Peaks Monument being downsized. There was a lot of people asking for Pearce to push Trump to release his tax returns.
Which he has said he will not do, right? I mean,
he said there wasn't his area. It was kind of not his area. That's something that would be up to Trump. He skirted some things. He's a very good speaker, Steve Pearce. Whether you support him or not, he's a very good public speaker, and he skirted a lot of those kind of issues and those questions, which often was met with boos and kind of chants from the crowd and the audience. So.
People not satisfied with some of the answers, but despite the disagreements, it was interesting. There were also some areas where the audience at least shared some common ground with Congressman Pearce.
There was quite a decent amount of common ground given how tense things were. So the border wall was a huge one. Steve Pearce said, I do agree with securing the border, but the border wall is just kind of like a symbolic thing for people's peace of mind up in like the East Coast who don't fully understand the border. He says it wasn't helpful and not something he supported, and not something he supported putting taxpayer money towards. And then there were other things as well. He also was pushing for more work visas, more options for immigrants that have come here and are already here to be able to at least work and kind of pay taxes legally and contribute back to society and potentially be able to kind of reverse or improve their status, basically.
Okay.
And then, of course, veterans as well. Veterans care, better access to the VA for veterans. That was a huge one. And these were things that it seemed were the three things that the room was unanimously in agreement about.
Very much in support of. Okay, well, of course, a lot of these issues deal with the pocketbook, their money issues. You had another story recently that deals with economic development in Las Cruces.
Yes, so they're trying to make Las Cruces a key stop on the International Film Festival circuit. I went to the second annual Las Cruces Film Festival. The Las Cruces International Film Festival is in its second year. Some of the brightest stars to walk this year's red carpet are Brendan Fraser, Johnny Galecki of The Big Bang Theory, and Napoleon Dynamite star John Heder. Heder stars in the Las Cruces International Film Festival's opening night film, The Tiger Hunter, a comedy drama exploring the Muslim immigrant experience in the US.
The film's about this Indian boy who comes to America in the 1970s, and he's seeking to claim his fame and fortune. And he works at this big engineering company, and I play basically the American guy who shows him the ropes, but not just to the company, but like, this is how you got to make it in America.
Heder got his start in acting while studying animation at Brigham Young University in Provo, a university town in Utah a little bit bigger than Las Cruces. His advice to aspiring students trying to break into the industry?
If you're studying film, keep going with it. Write, become your own writer. I'm learning that right now. You've got to write your own stuff. And other advice to actors, if you've got any other skill set, go with that. Don't go into acting, it's tough. But yet, when you do it, it's amazing. I mean, I love it.
Workshops and development seminars hosted by industry professionals are a large part of the festival. Ross Marks organises the event. He's pushing to make the Las Cruces International Film Festival a key stop on the international festival circuit and create more opportunities for local industry talent.
So we're expecting this year somewhere in the neighborhood of 7,000 to 8,000 people, maybe even 9,000. We had a huge advanced ticket sales. We've got a terrific attendance in terms of celebrities and filmmakers. Last year we had 40 filmmakers attend. This year we've got about 65.
Ross says the event is a positive boost to the local economy, but the bigger goal is to showcase the region and attract more film production to southern New Mexico.
Las Cruces International Film Festival really is the mouthpiece. You know, it's a giant bullhorn screaming, come make a movie or a TV series here in southern New Mexico.
I asked Heater what does he think of southern New Mexico.
Oh, it's great. I mean, it's very dry. I've got, we tried the chilies today, all the different hot sauces, and I was stuffed up a little bit, and that cleared me right up. But it's beautiful. It's great. This is the closest I've ever been to Mexico.
And when it comes to red or green chili,
You know what? I was telling them I like both. If I get 2 enchiladas, I get 1 red, 1 green. I feel like it's fair to the chilies themselves, and I like a little bit of both.
if you didn't catch John Heater at the Las Cruces International Film Festival, you can see him in film The Tiger Hunter in cinemas this April. For KRWG, I'm Simon Thompson.
I'm asking, who knows?
First thing that strikes you is the beauty of it, by far. You look at these pieces and you realize you can't really believe almost that nature created these beautiful things. Nothing's man-made, we didn't create any of them. Just the awe-striking ability of it. And then you can start looking a little closer and start getting away the science of the fact. So once you see the beauty, then you can see, okay, how did this happen? Where did these certain animals live? When did these trees live? You know, what was the environment like? What was our past history millions of years back like? We start at the beginning of geologic time, so the beginning of our fossil record, which our first piece, our oldest piece, is 3 billion years old. We have abandoned our information from about that old, which were single-celled organisms, live in the ocean. And then you go all the way up our age with our mammals and those kind of things. You go through the entire geologic history, and we've got examples from each time period, so you really get a sense of how things changed, how we went from these single-celled things up to things starting to come onto land, to our big dinosaurs, and then our dinosaurs' extinction to what survived after. You know, we get our mammals and we have a really cool crab that is very neat that's from that time period too. Our variety of petrified wood, we have from all over the country, especially Arizona, Oregon, Washington, we focus on those. We've also got a few scattered from around the world as well, Argentina. We've got some from Indonesia, all over. And then our unique fossils as well, and our minerals. Mr. Zool picked things for their beauty and for their uniqueness. We've got nothing subpar, everything is quite amazing. We've got things that most other museums wouldn't have. Majority of our things we ask that you not touch. There's oils on our hands that keep our hands from getting dry, our skin from getting dry, and if everyone touched our pieces, then the rocks would start breaking down. But some of our pieces are very sturdy, like our logs and those things. The logs, if they're sitting on the ground, we've even got benches that are made out of our petrified wood, those are fine. We're okay with people touching that.
So the Neo Magic exhibition came about through a call to the student body of New Mexico State University. And what we did was we asked for students to submit images of their artworks that were either inspired directly by the Zool collection here on campus or by the natural world. And so we've got a wide variety of media that are being used to talk about geological time and as well as the Earth's history. So we have paintings, we have drawings, we have edited photography, we have sculptures. It's really a lot of different pieces. This piece was not made specifically for the exhibition, but it fits so well with the themes that you see here at the Zool collection, particularly the ammonites with their spiral shape. It gives them both practical experience in the field, which they need as emerging artists, and also gives them an opportunity to show their artworks to their friends, families, and mentors, and get accustomed to talking about their practices with the people around them.
Beyond my expectations. I really wasn't sure where we were coming, because my brother-in-law said we were coming to look at some geodes, and so when I saw the wood, I wanted to take one home and make it a coffee table.
All our NMSU museums were always free. We're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and every second Saturday of the month from 12 to 5. Also, you can give me a call or email. Email is zool@nmsu.edu, and I'm always glad to answer questions, give tours. Our tours are also free, so if you want a tour, no matter the group, no matter the size, no matter the age, I can do it all.
Thank you for joining us for In Focus. I'm Anthony Moreno. Joining us today is our guest, Roman Jimenez. He is chair of the Dona County Republican Party. Roman, thank you very much for being with us.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
And first of all, congratulations on the recent election as party chair. I'd like to start off, what are your plans as chair? What do you hope to bring to the party here in Dona County?
Well, what we're looking at trying to do is we want to make sure that we get the message out to the community about our foundational beliefs, the things that we're trying to accomplish as far as the ideals of the party, the things that we think are important to everybody, not just to a particular party, but ideas and liberties that are important to all people in the community.
Well, you mentioned these ideas and you know, the foundations of the party. What exactly do you mean by that?
Well, I think the basics principle behind our party is the liberties afforded by the Constitution that were ascribed to us as human beings from the writing to the Constitution, even previous to that. So we want to make sure is that people are aware of the fact that we stand for the liberties that have been given to them, their inalienable rights to free speech, their inalienable rights to own property, and to make their voices heard, and to live basically a free life of over-intrusive government.
You know, we just had in 2016 a historic election.
Right.
President Donald Trump was elected, the first president without any real political experience.
Sure.
You know, I was wondering, what were your thoughts as a Republican on how Donald Trump was able to ascend to the presidency, not only the nomination, but the presidency?
Sure. I think for me it was a very interesting election cycle because it showed us that the people were able to take back control of their government, that the people spoke freely about the fact that they were unhappy with politicians, really. And that goes for both sides of the aisle. They were tired of Democratic politicians. They were tired of Republican politicians. They were tired of people that had their own best interests and self-preservation in mind. And they were looking for somebody that might be able to champion their own values, the things that were important to them, the things that they were seeing each and every day, the deterioration of the communities, the high crime rates, the lack of jobs, the stifled economy, the things that we were told were going to get better 8 years ago that never seemed to get any better.
President Trump on the campaign trail obviously made headlines through remarks he made about Mexican immigrants, referring to them. Mexico's not sending their best. He referred, to them sending rapists, murderers. I was wondering, as somebody within the party, when you hear that as a Republican, what are your thoughts?
Well, when I first heard it as an individual, I took it in context with what he was saying. And to me, my interpretation of what he said was that not only are we getting good people from Mexico that want to make a better life, but Mexico is also allowing for bad people to come into our country, which I don't disagree with. We don't have a very good vetting system in place right now to vet who is it that is coming into our country, residing in our communities, and then setting up criminal enterprises. And we know for a fact that that happens. I spent 22 years in law enforcement. I spent a lot of times on the front lines dealing with cartels, drug dealers, sexual predators, so we do have a lot of the criminal element here as well.
Well, speaking of, I'd like to talk a little bit about Donald Trump's enforcement with immigration that's happened recently. And last week, ICE agents have rounded up, nearly 700 people across the U.S. in different states, and that's obviously prompted some protests as well. And Las Cruces is not immune from that. Sure. Recently there was a raid in Las Cruces and in the communities around here that sparked fear in some communities and protests as well that we saw this week. I was wondering, when you see things like that happen, are you concerned that is sending a message of fear within the community here?
I don't, again, looking at it from my perspective in working in law enforcement before, a couple of years ago in 2015, I think the Obama administration conducted the same type of raids that were responsible for apprehending nearly 435,000 people. Those type of raids and operations have been happening for a while. The recent raids that occurred nationwide, 75% of them, from what I know, of the people that were detained and arrested were serious criminal offenders. Yet we don't hear that in the media. What we hear is an outcry of people saying that people just because of their status is being targeted. And I think that the media and those of us responsible for getting the true message out need to make sure that the entire message is heard. Not only were ICE agents out, but 75% of these people that were arrested were dangerous criminal repeat offenders that are off the streets of our communities. And in context with that, I think that that's a very, very good thing.
Now, as we're taping this program, news broke today from the Associated Press that the Trump administration was considering adding 100,000 National Guard troops to enforce immigration, like basically what ICE is doing.
Sure.
I would like to hear your thoughts on that. And do you think that is a good thing or a bad thing?
Again, operationally speaking, you have to look at what the objectives are. And for instance, during 9/11, the same type of resources were deployed because we had been attacked here on our soil by people that we didn't expect to attack us at the time. They were dangerous individuals that we allowed to stay here. We taught them how to fly. They attended our schools and walked around amongst us. And we are faced with the same imminent danger right now, not only from radical Islamic terrorists, but from dangerous individuals from other countries as well. And if we see the recent past as a testament to what we're looking forward to, we see that it is a divided country. It is a violent country. We've been dealing with a lot of violent protests lately, a lot of things that have been going on. Now more than ever, people want to harm Americans.
Well, I hear what you're saying there, but as a law enforcement officer, as somebody who you said you were on the front lines and you saw up close, do you think that could affect local law enforcement agencies from actually doing their job, because it could possibly enact fear in different communities that may be immigrants, that to the point that they might not want to report a crime because they might be scared that they could be rounded up.
And you're speaking specifically to the National
Local
Guardsmen on
being on the street. Yeah, I mean, does that affect people, you know, in the different communities from calling law enforcement, local law enforcement agencies when crimes are happening against them?
Yeah, you know, that's a great point, and I understand the fear, and I understand the issues that people that are here illegally or undocumented might have concerns about, and I think those are concerns that they carry with them each and every day. If you're here and you don't have permission to be here, you're here illegally, then you're going to carry that with you wherever you go. You know, you may go to the store, you may travel through a checkpoint, or you may come back from visiting family and always wondering and worrying about that. So I think that anxiety is there. I think the thing that we need to keep into perspective, though, is that when the people targeted are repeat offending criminals, that should give individuals some peace of mind. In other words, if you're not here and you're not committing crimes and you're not stealing from people and you're not running drugs and you're not a sex offender or a repeat DWI offender, that really you don't have a lot to worry about more than you have before. Because, you know, going back again, and I didn't mean to interrupt, but going back, we know that these raids have been happening for years, just that we haven't heard of them.
All right.
Now that Trump's in office, we hear about them.
Okay, well, I want to, we're out of time, unfortunately. Okay. I want to say thank you very much for being here.
Absolutely,
and,
it's my pleasure.
Yeah, we look forward to having you back on the program.
Okay, thank you.
And we want to thank you for joining us on In Focus. I'm Anthony Moreno.
That's our time for now. Join us this week on KRWG Radio. Every weekday, it's Morning Edition, 5 to 9, Fresh Air at 11, followed by Here and Now, noon to 2, and All Things Considered, 4 to 7. KRWG News is always online at krwg.org, and we'd love to hear from you. Email us with your story ideas and video submissions. The address is feedback@nmsu.edu. Have a great week. We'll see you next time on Newsmakers.